right. I think I got to know that for some reason the session didn't go very well. So I might have to restart this. Okay. All right. So back again. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Unfortunately, I'm not getting any feedback. So hopefully this will work out. Right. Okay. So I'll skip my introduction. I'll talk about the rest of the items. All right. So so in the next couple of minutes or next 30 minutes, we'll be talking about some interesting stuff. So we'll talk about why we need to keep improving, what are our strengths. We'll talk a little bit about the grad life, and I'll share some wisdom. So, right. So I know most of you are, learning in an undergraduate situation right now. So the Sri Lankan education system, as far as I know, is one of the finest education systems, right? Let me actually change this so I can see what I'm talking about. Okay, that now it's better. So Sri Lankan education system, I've been working with a lot of people coming from different countries. I know our education system in Sri Lanka is fantastic, right? So you being part of the undergraduate systems, either public or private, it's amazing. That tells something. So I assume a lot of people who are listening to this are undergraduates. And if you're in the technology field gets some of the best compensation even within Sri Lanka. Even if you go outside, technology fields gets a lot of good salaries and compensation packages. So and the demand for the graduates are still high. Right? In Sri Lanka, I don't think you have heard any scenario where, hey, you leave in one company and then you couldn't find another job, especially in the technology field. So the question is that enough? Now I know most of you are comfortable. I used to be like that, but is that enough, right? So the problem is, your knowledge gets outdated pretty fast. You learn things today. For example, when I graduated, web services were hot, right? SOAP-based web services, but now nobody uses them. So the knowledge that you have on most of things get outdated pretty fast, right? And also the challenges keeps on changing. So currently people are talking about, hey, how we can do autonomous driving, a lot of machine learning stuff coming in, and then the amount of the scale that you need to operate on changes, right? So all the challenges, they keeps on changing. Those are totally different from how it was about 10, 20 years ago. And the others who graduated later than you, they will surpass you, right? When you go for an interview from the company's point of view, it doesn't matter where you came from. It's mostly about your accomplishment and what you've proven to be capable of, right? So it doesn't matter what your age is also. So if you do not keep on improving yourself, then you'll become outdated pretty soon. And the last two items are extremely important when you're trying to stick with your field for a long time. You want to pick a career, not a job. So the difference is, if it's a job, someone has to bribe you to get something done from you. If you're a career, you will love it. You do it every day. For example, myself, I don't have to, my boss or no one in my company, they don't have to come to and say, hey, Eran, you have to work all the weekend. If there's anything interesting, I'll just go ahead and do it. Doesn't matter. So that's the difference between a career and a job, right? You love your career. You love what you're doing. And also at the end, having a life, because you don't want to wait until you're like 60 years old to enjoy your life. You need to enjoy life, go out and have fun. So that's why you need to push yourself, right? You need to keep on improving yourself. So now, assuming you don't want to get stagnated, now let's think about how you can improve yourself. But let's talk about what your strengths are, right? We know for a fact that we can work hard and learn anything on your own. I remember, when we went for our internship interviews when I was in University of Moratuwa, one of my colleagues, he could not answer any question they were asking. But he said, you know what, I don't know them now, but I can tell you that I can learn all of them in a week. I'm sure I can wow you all the time. So that's our attitude also. We can work hard and learn anything on your own. And also remember, when you did O-levels, right? You must have gotten 9 A's, or in my days, it's 8 D's, right? But A-level is a completely different beast. But you worked hard and you got good grades, hopefully. So that's our strength, right? And also, Sri Lankan education is mostly geared towards mathematics and science. So your brains are tuned to solve hard problems and do critical thinking. So those are your strengths, right? You can work hard and you can learn anything, and your brains are tuned to solve hard problems, right? I'm talking about most of the majority of the people. So hence, now what options do we have when we graduate, right? So one option is you can go to grad school. So grad school is doing master's or PhD, or you can go into academia, work in a lab in a university, or you can go work in an industry, right? You can go for a company like Virtusa, or Eurocenter, or WSO2, a company like that in Sri Lanka, if you're in technology field, right? And you can also start your own company. I know there are a lot of avenues that are open now, incubators being open now to promote those kind of things. I know Hemin the Jayavira is actually promoting. He's a fantastic individual. He's doing that. And you can do combination of the above, right? So why should I go to grad school, right? Well, there are a lot of learning possibilities, right? Because you'll be learning about a lot of things. So the idea of the grad school is you expand your knowledge beyond what you have learned so far, right? If you're going into a PhD, you learn about a lot of things, so you get a breadth of knowledge, and then you go into the depth, right? And then you get to work, you get to become the experts in the world in certain area. If you have a PhD, by definition, you having a PhD means you're the only person who's an expert in that particular thing that you did, right? It's amazing. And you get to work with a lot of smart people, so you don't feel like you're the only smart people in the lab. And once you graduate from grad school, you can become a professor, or you can stay in the academy for a long time. And of course, you get good salaries and you have a career there. Well, that's if you go to grad school. But by the way, even if you go to grad school, after that, you can go to academia or you can go to industry after that. So myself, I got my PhD and then I went to industry. I didn't stay and go to academia. I'll talk about a little bit at the end. So do I want to go to the industry? Well, again, you get to work on a lot of interesting real life problems. I know MIT, my friends there, they solve a lot of interesting problems. They enable London Stock Exchange. So those are some interesting problems you can do. And obviously industry pays a good salary compared to the academia. So that's good. So for example, sometimes when you graduate, you might not have enough money. You need to help your parents. So you might want to stay back a little bit, work in the industry for 1 or 2 years, and then go to grad school, right? And the other option is, do you want to start a new company, right? So as I mentioned earlier, there are a lot of avenues that you can use to start a company. Amazing opportunities. And we did not have that opportunities when I was graduating, but now there are a lot of opportunities available in Sri Lanka with a lot of funding. Oops. I think I may be sharing the wrong screen. So I think I might have shared the wrong screen. Right here. All right. So how can we prepare ourselves, right? So the advantages that you have now are you can make mistakes. You can make a lot of mistakes, right? So I remember when I went to again my internship. Um, you know, you can ask questions, you can make mistakes. I remember, um, think about a week into my actually 2 3 weeks into my internship, I made a wrong, me and my friend actually made a wrong SQL command, and then we almost brought down the whole database. So, and then, you can make mistakes and learn from them, right? I mean, you should not keep on doing the same mistake, but those are the things. And actually, towards the end of my internship, my colleague who I worked with, I remember he deleting the whole code repository that we've been working on without any backups. So that was amazing. So you can make mistakes, you can learn from them, and you can ask for a lot of help. When I was in again doing my internship in Google, I learned. So I actually interned with the team who's producing MapReduce at Google, um, and I learned a lot from them how large scale systems are being run. And so those are the advantages stages you have now as an undergraduate, right? The other is you need to know your fundamentals, right? Your data structures, your algorithms, your systems knowledge, your networking. You need to know what those are, right? You need to know how to explain how networking transmission is done, how what is UDP, why do you need UDP, how TCP is done, OS layers and everything. You need to know your fundamentals. You need to know your data structures. I remember this again amazing. Um, when I went to interview at Virtusa, um, um, I remember they were asking about the differences between data structures, right? And you need to know what a vector is, what an array list is, and when you need what you should be using and when. So that's amazing. And and finally, you need to keep on challenging yourself beyond what's being taught. You'll never learn everything only from the lectures. So this is not a good example, Trell, but um, I myself did not go to a lot of lectures. Right? I remember again this nice life lesson. 3 or 5 guys, we get together and we studied for exams. And one of the guys is now, I think he's the vice president of Cisco in Sri Lanka, and the other guy is in Amazon. So we ended up being good places. But the thing is, we kept on challenging ourselves, and then we kept on learning ourselves. So that's amazing. By the way, I don't recommend not going to lectures, but so, and then this is one of the important things you should be, I think, focusing on. You need to improve your knowledge, do side projects, right? Read Reddit, Hacker News, learn new things, and learn one new programming language every year. If you read the Pragmatic Programmer book, they talk about learning at least one new programming language every year, right? Read papers, right? Learn a technology in depth. Learn what IoT is, how does it work, and use e-learning resources. There are tons of e-learning resources now. You have Udemy, Udacity, Coursera, and universities offer free online courses. Right? Challenge yourself for something. For example, for this presentation, I didn't want to use PowerPoint, so I was looking for something, and then I figured out, hey, there's something called Hovercraft that you can write like LaTeX, and then it translates it using Impress.js. So learn something new and have fun. So improve your knowledge, keep on improving it. Read things, learn yourself, and that's amazing. And also increase your visibility, right? Contributing to open source is one of the best things you can do as a Sri Lankan to improve your visibility, right? People will get to know about you, and then writing blogs. You can write anything that you think could be useful, right? And then put your answers in place like Quora, Stack Overflow, host your solutions in GitHub, publish publish papers, right? It doesn't have to publish in a conference. You can just write a paper and then host it on a website. Basically, try to market yourself, make the other people aware of what you're doing, right? That is amazing when you try to apply for grad school. So how does it look like to be a grad student? I'm not going to go into details because I know Salia did a fantastic presentation around how the grad a student life looks like. So I'm gonna skip over this a little bit. In short, it's about 4 years in US and Europe and Australia, and Asia it's about 3 years. In US, first few years you take courses. Based on how you take the courses, you'll get the free masters, right? It's amazing. It's like you take courses and you get masters for free, and you find a topic that you want to research on. You research, you publish paper, and you're done. Fantastic. That easy to say that, but it's not that easy. So if you want more information, please listen to Salia Kanayaka's presentation. He did an amazing job explaining that. So what happens after grad school, right? So you can be a grad student, and once you graduate, if you want to stay within the academia, you can become a postdoc, right? So postdoc is you're getting your training to become a professor, right? Or at least trying to get a professor. Once you're a postdoc, right, and then you apply for a professor opportunity, and once you get in, you become an assistant professor, right? This is the time where they call it as a tenure, where you had to prove yourself. It's like 4 years of rigorous work. Once you prove yourself, and you become a tenured professor, right? The whole journey is about, I think, I would say 5 to 6 years, or maybe more. So I didn't do it. So but that's an opportunity. And once you graduate, if you don't go to academia, you can join a company. So that's what I did. So the question is, should I join a big company like Google, Microsoft, eBay, or should you join a smaller company, right? Or should I join a startup, right? So at least myself, I joined a startup. The reason being, I'll talk about that when I share wisdom. I want to learn a lot of things in a very short amount of time. So that's my idea. And then I didn't join a big company initially. So, but now I'm part of a bigger company, LinkedIn. Startups is fantastic. You get to do everything. And in my previous gig, I was responsible for running the whole site from the back end, getting the data in, to storing them, retrieving them, indexing them, serving them. Everything is under my responsibility. That's amazing. Whereas in my current company, I'm responsible for just the monitoring aspect of it. And if you join a startup, this is something I know a lot of Sri Lankans don't know. I myself didn't know when I was in Sri Lanka. The stock options. Stock options are amazing. If you join a startup, salary is important, but make sure you talk about stock options, because that's where the value comes in. That's where they will give you a portion of your potential or the risk that you're taking, right? Do not ever join a startup without having stock options. All right, a bit of wisdom. And of course, this is based on my knowledge. This is the disclaimer. Your mileage may vary, but take this with a little bit of grain of salt. All right. So this is something I've been telling my kids also, right? Compete with yourself, not with others, right? The idea is, if you always compete with someone, you always lose if that one is better than you, right? But compete with yourself. Make sure future yourself is better than current you, right? I remember this is something, for some reason, that stuck with me for a long time. Even when I was in Dharmashok College, right? I never want to be the number one. I mean, in fact, I could not be the number one of all the classes. But what I said was, hey, I want to take more marks than the previous year that I had. I kept on doing that. And even now, I kept on doing it. Everything that I do, right? Even the exercises that I do, even the sports I play, everything. I'm saying, let's try to beat my previous me, and then make sure the future myself is better than. That's how you can keep improving without getting frustration. Of course, there are times where you can't beat yourself, but you've been there once, right? So you cannot get worse. So compete with yourself, not with others, right? Automatically you will beat the others as well. So evaluating career opportunities. So this is why this is one of the reasons I joined startups initially, right? So my idea is, if you're evaluating career opportunities, you need to look at how would you become in 1 year from now, right? If you have 3 job opportunities right now, or academic or anything, right? Think of yourself 1 year ahead from now. When if you look back, what have you learned, right? What have you become, right? So when I was, let's say you have an offer from, say, Google, or from another startup, right? 1 year from now, will you be that guy who's responsible for that one button, like somewhere hidden on that website? Or can you say, I build the whole website and I maintain the website, I make sure it is up and running, right? That's how you evaluate your career opportunities. Money will follow. So that's how, anytime you have these competing opportunities, let's look at, from your point of view, 1 year from now, how would you become, right? So that's an important distinction. Keep on learning every day, right? And one of the problems, at least myself, I had was I kept on learning about computer science and stopped learning about everything else, right? Especially during my PhD. But then when I came out, I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Psychology is awesome. Leadership, politics, those are awesome, right? I learned about, what kind of psychology that they are using when they advertise, right? And marketing psychology, that's amazing if you like to learn. So that the reason that you're learning is not only to improve yourself, but also these things will come handy at places that you would never thought of earlier, right? I remember when I was an undergrad, I used to do CIMA, Chartered Institute of Management Account. I forgot what that is. It's like I'm sure a lot of Sri Lankans know. I have no idea why I was doing that. But then now in my normal life, I use the knowledge that I gain every day, economics and the accounting stuff that I did. So that's fantastic. So some of the things that you learn, you kind of don't know where you'll get some of these benefits. But when you get it, you'll be like, aha, that's awesome. And also start reading a lot of interesting books. So I recently read these 2 books, Sapiens from Yuval Harari. Amazing bit of work. And The Subtle Art of Not Giving, FCK. That's also amazing. These are the places that you can learn from other people. So definitely recommend reading. Keep building connections. You give me a second. I need to make sure. Swedish live. All right. So keep on building connections, right? Because you need to connect with a lot of people, and this connection will come handy a lot of time. And same thing, never burn your bridges. If someone did something wrong to you, just try to walk away. Just don't try to burn that bridge. You will never know when that connection will come and bite you, right? So it's extremely important to build the connections. But now, having said that, this is a plug for me for the ragging in Sri Lankan universities. Anyone who is trying to get you into ragging, just let them go. That is not your friend. It's okay to burn those bridges, right? Because ragging should not be something that is in Sri Lankan universities. Anyone that talks about the equality and everything, the people who talk about equality with me when I was in university, from JVP and other places, now they're in Australia, right? So those are not the kind of people you want to be associated with. Try to associate with the people who are good. So by the way, this is a small plug for ragging in Sri Lankan universities. If anyone is involved, just stay away from them. That's not something universities should have. But keep on building good connections. So that's pretty important. And find a mentor, right? I was fortunate to have a couple of mentors when I was in undergrad, and then without one fine gentleman there was Dr. Sanjeev Veeravarna, and without him I wouldn't be here, right? And the knowledge that I got him and the help that I got him really helped me to get here. And then even when I came to US, there are a lot of mentors I worked with. I was fortunate enough to have them to help with my career. So find a mentor who you think who can help you with your career or your life. And practice leadership all the time, right? I remember when I was in my school, right? Nobody wanted to be the leader of the class. So I was, by definition, I was the leader. And that gave me confidence to go into the public and talk without any doubt, right? And any place that you go, try to become the leader. But now once you become a leader, you need to understand that you're not a leader but not a manager. So the difference is, Actually, one of the differences is you are there to enable the people who are following you, yet you are not there to be the boss, right? So that's, you should read about servant leadership if you have not done it, right? And in my current job, when I lead my team, I actually try to enable them. They are the people who are really doing the job, right? So I try to unblock them, I try to help them, right? And that's why where the successful readers will be good leaders. So read about leadership, practice leadership, and learn about leadership. And learn a sport, right? I remember, from the school days to my undergrad days to my grad school days, even now, I've been playing a sport, and that is something that you'd love because your brain needs a rest, right? You cannot keep on learning and you cannot keep on putting pressure, especially when you're at my age, which is pretty old. Your brain gets really, really, burned, and you need to reset them. One of the best way to do that is doing a sport, right? 1 hour doing some sport, that will definitely help you to keep, stay sane. So any sport, it doesn't have to be something running. Even chess is awesome. Learn something that will help you, and that you need that reset. And take risk. Get into uncharted territories, right? If you don't take risks, you will never, push yourself. So when I got into grad school, it's a funny story. I still remember I was in a car with a friend. His name is Ruchit Fernando. um, I mean, I've heard about grad school, but this guy was saying, hey, Eran, are you going to grad school? I'm like, why should I go to grad school? So we had this conversation, and I'm like, I'm scared to do it. So, but then after some time, I kind of got some confidence. I had my mentor, Dr. Sanjeev Veeravan, and then I got in here. So, but it has paid off, right? And after that, I've taken a lot of risk in various things. When I changed jobs, when I try to do certain things, take risks. That's the fun part of it, right? Without risk, there's no reward. But you need to take some calculated risks. And of course, family first. I mean, most of you might not have married yet, but what this means is your parents. Always, help your parents. Everything else comes later. Companies, when you join, they can fire you at any time, right? But your time that you lost to attend the family ceremony, you can never get back. The companies can hire like 10 more just like you, right? But you cannot get your life back. So always family first. This is, I'm telling from my whole experience. I would never put my family second, right? So you can learn things, you can get into anywhere you want, but make sure you know where your priorities are. And this is actually from Buddhism. Anything, happiness and sorrow, anything that you do, this too will pass, right? I don't know whether you remember when you're in sixth grade. Do you remember that time where, hey, there's an exam tomorrow, the day after, you're not sure whether you can do it or not, you're really scared? Oh my goodness, I have not studied, can I go through? Do you even remember that now, right? So all things have passed, right? Even the happiness, right? You had fun, your birthdays or something happened, everything, those, everything will pass. Even now, I remember when I was in grad school, I was in the third year, right? I have no idea what's going to happen. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in hell. I don't know what's going to happen. But everything has passed. I don't even remember those days, actually. So whether you are in happiness or sorrow, understand that everything will pass at some point. You just have to, push through yourself and then get going. Remember, we are hardworking, right? So keep on doing that. And finally, help others. Be a good human, right? A lot of people are helping you. You need to help people again, your parents, your friends, anyone that even the people that you don't know, right? You need to be a good human. I know a lot of people who are listening to this one are undergrads. You have good education, right? So you have gotten here by help from your teachers, but your parents. So you need to help other people as well. So be a good human. That's when being a good human will go a long way. Those qualities will come up when you try to go to interviews and talk about things. So, all right, that's all. Thanks for listening, and time for questions. Having said that, I don't know how the questions are being asked. I'm trying to find the questions. Give me a second. All right, I think I've got the questions. All right, so it says, so any advice for PhD students who are struggling to find their career path at the moment? Um, so I think the one of the best things you can do is try a few things. You know, pick a field, learn about it, find a mentor, talk to a mentor. I think it's still there. Sri Lanka, we have set up this thing called SL2 college, SL number 2 college. Join there and then trying to get someone to talk to you and then get some help. Right? I think this is the one of the place where you can get a mentor to really help you. Yeah. And would you encourage students to follow their passion or stick to what they are good at? Um, that's a very hard question to answer, to be honest. um, this is what I was talking about, taking risks, right? You should stick to what they're good at in one dimension, but also take some risk. For example, let's say you're in computer science field, and then you are good at, say, networking, right? But you want to learn machine learning, right? Do some courses, take some courses, learn yourself. And if you feel like that's good, take a risk, find a job that you can do that. So, but if you really like something passion, this is where the career versus job comes into picture, right? Sometimes if you're young, you can take risk, right? If you're really passionate about something, just go ahead and do it for 1 or 2 years and see how it goes up. Let's see what else. All right. So Tarindu Madhushankar is asking, my question, keep focusing in one technical stream and getting expert in that one, or try to be all-rounder? So initially, at least, you need to be a little bit of all-rounder, right? You need to understand things that will be needed for you, and also the things that are surrounding you. I cannot really answer this question without knowing what you're talking about. But I try to go breadth first initially before you go to the deep ends. Oh, thank you for the my rant against the ragging. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So Imdad Muhammad, she says, can you elaborate more about what you said about stock options in startups? Yes. So the stock options in startups, right? Startups, they don't have value, right? It's not like you join Microsoft and then Microsoft give you like certain number of stocks, and the moment Microsoft gives you those stocks, let's say they give you 100 stocks, each stock is say $180, and then automatically you are entitled to $18,000. But in startup, when you join, they will give you 20,000 stocks. They have no value. You can't sell them anywhere. But the thing is, when the startup is doing good, the value of those stocks will go up, right? So if you have 20,000 stock, let's say they value one stock is 1 cent, right? And over time, the 1 cent will go to 10 cents, go to 20 cents, right? But for example, Facebook, when they went live, when they went public, I think they went live at $17 or some value. Even though they went public at $17, the employees of Facebook, at least the initial ones, they got it for like 10 cents or 20 cents, right? When they went live at $17, they have all the money associated with it, right? So, but they have to work hard. I mean, people who joined Facebook when Facebook is like 2005, I think it went live in 2011. They had to work 6 years to get the value of out of it, right? In Sri Lanka, there are companies when they start up, everyone has a risk associated with it, because if the company fails, right, your stocks have no values, right? Not every startup succeeds. No, not every startups get acquired. So the point is, if you're contributing to startup, right, if you want to be part of the growth of the company, you need to own the stock, right? Let's say the company is doing pretty good, right? You keep on getting a salary, but you're not really part of the growth of the company, right? If the company is doing pretty well, you're only limited to your salary, right? One wisdom one of my friends told me is that the salary that you're getting, if you're working for any company, the salary that you're getting right now is what is helping you to bring food to your table, right? Stock is what is helping you to build wealth, right? So don't just focus on the salary that you're getting. Just also talk about stock options if it's a startup, or about the stocks if it's a public company, right? So that's pretty important. Don't people come to Sri Lanka sometimes because of low salaries and stuff, but don't let them do it. Ask for your stock options, right? Understand how many stocks you're getting and what the value of it. So, okay, someone is asking, you did say put family first, but the reality in Sri Lankan organization is work first, family second. What's your advice to tackle this diplomatically? Well, if I don't know, a lot of you, I know undergrads, most of you are not married. I assume so, at least. But if a lot of things are interfering with you, talk to your manager, right? You cannot keep on doing it. Remember, one fine day, the company will let you go, right? You will leave, you will work for the company for 15 years. You need only one mistake for this to happen, and that day, everything is gone. So if you want to handle this diplomatically, if your personal life is getting impacted by this, talk to your manager. That's talk about some compromises that you can do, right? You cannot keep putting pressure. You cannot keep on working 18-20 hours every day. That's not sustainable. You need to find something else. So remember, it's your life, right? Yes, you love your company, but you need to have a life and you need to have your family. So make sure you focus on it. Any particular advice for someone hoping to complete grad school overseas and enter an industry and academia there? So that's what I was talking about in the presentation. After grad school, what options you have. So I'm happy to help. This is something I can help. So feel free to shoot me an email. But you need to build connections also there, because connection will help you to get interviews. Connection will help you to help someone to understand what is out there for your field, right? So talk to people and then keep on asking questions. Okay, so Tharinder is asking a question again related to expert or all-rounder question. Technical things are rapidly changing, so Java expert may not value same as 1 decade back. So to be a full stack engineer other than Java expert would be more valuable in future. So this is exactly what I was talking about when I said know your fundamentals, right? It doesn't matter which programming language you learn. So when I was learning in University of Moratuwa, they never taught us a programming language, right? We learn all the data structures and algorithms, right? Language was kind of the sugar on the top, right? But we knew the fundamentals. We knew what the data structures are. We knew what the algorithms are. We know the time complexities, right? So when you know them, learning a new language is like 2-3 weeks of work. It's just you're learning the syntax. But once you learn the syntax, it's the same old thing, right? You use data structures to code it. You know the algorithms. It's not different. So don't ever say, hey, I'm a Java expert, I can only do Java. No, I'm pretty sure you can do more than that. And you can learn Golang, you can learn Python, you can learn C++, you can be a full stack engineer. As long as you know the fundamentals, everything is the same there, right? And if you know how to improve things, how to tune you say memory in any place, it's the same concept, right? It's not going to change. So learn a new language every year, learn the syntax, but keep your fundamentals strong. Somebody's asking, can you do another web seminar on stock options? Because most of us are not aware or familiar on it. Yeah, exactly the point. There are a lot of resources on the web that you can go and figure out. But again, if you're part of a private company, I don't know whether I'm starting a revolution here, but learn about stock option, what those are. What does it mean to have stock options, right? I can give you one example. So people who join good startups, at least in US, if you join a good startup, there's about 95% of chance of startups failing, right? So you might, just like me, the previous startup that I joined didn't go anywhere. So, but you still have the option of having it. So don't think only about the salaries. And okay. So Asella's asking, thanks for the message. Okay. Could you elaborate a bit on your open source work and on what project you have worked on? So for me to get into grad school, I can clearly say the work that we did in open source is what helped me. So I worked on a web services project that's called Apache Access 2 in Apache Software Foundation. And then after that, I helped a couple of other projects. I also helped with Google Summer of Code. And even after that, I open sourced a couple of projects when I was working here. So, all in all, I strongly believe in open source. That's the place where you not only can do something for the developers or everyone out there, but also you can gain something. Remember, when you write code currently, right, how many libraries that you're using for free, right? Now, just like how you're using the other people's libraries, what if you write a library and then help other people as well, and contribute something to the community? That's how the community should be built, not by keeping everything yourself, right? And then you go to some place. Open source doesn't mean you need to contribute code. You can write documentation, right? You can answer questions. Basically, anything that you can do to help someone for free without asking anything or no strings attached, that's a contribution. So Salia, he's a good friend of mine. He's asking, as a manager, what qualities do you look in people that you hire? So, of course, we look at technical abilities, but one of the main things I'm looking for is whether he's a good human. That's why I was saying, be a good human. So in my company, when I interview, the module that I do, we looked at the work that people have done in the past. We asked, I cannot discuss some of the question, but the question that we asked along the lines of, how has this guy performed in the past? What is his interaction with the team? What is his interaction with his managers? How is he thinking about the work he did, right? Is he talking bad about his manager? Is he talking bad about his team? How was he collaborating with the team, right? How good of an individual he is? Because remember, when we get someone to work within our team, right, We want him to be successful, and also the team. I want the team to be successful. So we're looking for team players who are good humans, right? And I'm not looking for, most of the time, like specific set of skills, right? I don't ask, hey, can you write code in Golang? Rather, I'm looking for is, do you have fundamentals? Do you know your data structures? Do you know algorithms, right? When I put you to the one thing we do is we put them to kind of like a deep end and see how they can swim, right? How they can survive, how they can ask for help, right? Exactly, that's what we're using there. So so what else? So someone is asking, engage with open source or go attach with a commercial company to start career. What would be the best option? Do both. If you have the option of doing both, I would say go ahead and do both. You can join a industry company, and you can also contribute to open source, right? I know Lanka Software Foundation that also has some, I know what it's called, scholarships. You can join there and then contribute, right? Of course, your salary won't be better, but you're building your career, right? That's a fantastic. Don't always look at what the salary that you're getting when you look for these opportunities. Remember the 1 year rule that I was talking about, right? Think about 1 year from now, how would your career have progressed, right? If you think that makes sense, that's what you're looking for, right? Every day, when you go to a company, if you become a manager like me, I'm getting thousands and thousands of resumes, right? CVs. And what can you do to make sure your resume is outstanding among everything else, right? So you have to market yourself. You become a marketing person, right? How can you market yourself, right? If, let's say, you have 100 people graduating from the same college at the same time, how can you make sure one is outstanding, right? The only way you can do is showing that you have the potential, right? The work that you've done, how capable you are, right? So whatever that you think will get you there, that's what you should be doing. So any comments about LSF? Fantastic. I actually was very fortunate, Ibn Salia, fortunate to be part of Lanka Software Foundation. Fantastic organization. I think it's still working. Dr. Sanjeev Veeravan is working there. If you can contribute, please go ahead and contribute. I remember when we were contributing, that's when the tsunami came in. We created, a couple of people got together, and we helped create this system where you can locate, missing people and the burial things, and that then, turned out to be a different project. But it's amazing. Basically, you're helping people at some point. So that's how you can do good for the humanity. So if you can, please talk to them and then see how you can contribute, even if you're working for a company, right? Contribute to open source. Go to Apache Software Foundation, find a project that you like, that you think like, ask questions, download the code, contribute it, document, improve the documentation, answer it, submit patches for the bugs, stuff like that. So, all right, let's see. What other questions? I think that's pretty much it in terms of questions, I hope. How should we select an area of study for PhD? So you have a couple of options in there. Oh, that is Hasara asking question. So you have a couple of options in there. By the way, one of the mistakes I did when I was initially picking a field was I went with the field that my university at that time taught me the best, right? For some reason, I'm like, oh, systems looks interesting because that's the best best subject that they taught me, and AI doesn't work, right? Because I remember, funny story, when I was in the final year in the university, our AI lecturer never showed up for 4 consecutive days, and I was working part-time at that point. And 5th day, I guess, now he's not going to come, so I went to do my part-time job, and he came in. So from that onwards, I couldn't properly learn AI, so I didn't like AI. for example. And then when I joined my PhD, I did one AI course, fantastic, and I kept on taking AI courses. I think I ended up taking 4 AI courses until my advisor came and said, "Do not do any more AI courses," because I was on systems. So in terms of picking an area, you have to pick an area based on what you like right now, but you also get another chance when you go to a PhD, because you'll be taking a lot of courses from different subjects, and that will also help you to pick an area, right? Sometimes do a fun project. So if you have never done anything on databases, just go ahead and do a fun project yourself, like do a course on Udemy, or if you want to learn machine learning, do a course on there and see how it feels like, whether you like it, right? Remember, do not go behind shiny things, right? Everyone will be like, "Oh, I want to do machine learning," right? Things will change over time, right? Pick something that you have really passionate about, because you'll be doing this forever, right? And I mean, you can of course change the fields for sure, but then it will be coming at a cost. So okay, I think we are running over a little bit. So if you have more questions, I think you can keep on asking. I'm happy to answer the questions here. Again, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity, for Asel and everyone. Hope you guys got some good advice and good points. And yeah, good luck for the future, and make Sri Lanka proud. Thanks. Bye.